Hi Prêt-à-Template designers! Let's create a cool illustration of the Qatar football uniform celebrating the World Cup taking place in Qatar. And I will go to garment section, and here's the t-shirt template that I'm going to use. So here's the uniform. You can see it has two colors and it has this distinctive zigzag pattern. First of all, I'm just going to pick two colors and save them to my palette. Just for convenience, I'll just pick them directly from the photo. This way I don't have to split screen with the picture. I can see how the colors are distributed. So let's go back to the template. I'm going to reduce the opacity of each templates. I'm going to draw all three views on the first layer right here. And I moved the toggle to get the darkest color from this red. I'm going to use pen with the thinnest size to outline the entire template, but I'm going to consider a small few differences just to make it look exactly as the original uniform. So for the back view, I'm going to use the scissors tool, outline it, and simply drag it to the other side. I'm going to still edit the color, etc., but it's still going to be much faster this way. Alright, this looks good, so I can delete that extra layer that I don't need and keep everything on one layer. Now it's going to be a time for coloring, but first I want to create a new layer and drag it underneath the drawing so that the drawing always stays on top. And I'm going to work on creating that zigzag transition. And my idea is to put both colors, both sections of color on a different layer so that when I will start adding volume and like darker shades, I'm not going to disrupt the zigzag pattern. So the red part is going to be one layer and then the burgundy part is going to be another layer. So I'm starting with drawing some lines with the pen. And I understand I'm going to need a straight line, so I'm changing the line type. And what I'm going to do is just draw one V, and then I will multiply it using the scissors tool. And I'm happy with the size of it, but just so it happens the way when you start dragging the line front and back so many times, it kind of blurs. So I'm going to take a pen and just make it stronger, just outlining it once again. And once I'm done, I can start coloring the entire part. And I will be using the opaque round marker for that. Here it is. This is the tool I will use, and I'm going to just make a slightly larger size, change the line to freehand, and start filling in this part. by hand carefully the entire area. Next thing, I need to have a similar part on the side view. So what I'm thinking is that I will duplicate this layer. I'm going to take a scissor tool, take this part and drag it onto the side view as well. And then I will use an eraser to get rid of this view so that I have one view per each layer, and I'm going to erase everything I don't need. And since it works, I'm going to merge these two layers. Let them be on one layer and create one more layer to have that other red color and use it to fill in the rest of the areas. Here's a reference, and I'm pulling it to see the light and dark and how the transition and edges between light and dark look like. And you can see it's really soft. It has this silky look. So what I will do is create a separate layer now, add it on top, and I will create light and shadow separately again for both parts, for the darker and the lighter ones. So that's why I'm going to pick this red color, and I'm going to use this toggle on top to get a lighter version of it. And I have a watercolor brush, so I will be making the soft transitions to light, and the same with the shadow. It's time to pick up an eraser now and get rid of everything that is outside the outline. Let's create one more layer and do the same for the darker part. The steps are going to be exactly the same, adding some lighter and darker areas with the watercolor brush. Now I'm going to need one more layer to start adding small details. So one thing I noticed is that actually these parts on the collar and the sleeves are actually burgundy. So I'm going to go back to the burgundy layer with the shading and fix that really quick with the flat marker, just swiping some color on top of them. And now I can go back to that top layer, empty layer that I'm going to use for creating of these final details, the logo. And first I'm going to pick a white color, a pen of the smallest size, and just freehand draw this logo. On the back of the collar there is an Arabic writing that says Qatar, so I'm going to draw that as well. For the last detail, I'm going to take the round marker with the biggest size and take the dotted line type. So just to create one dot, and I'm going to use scissor tool just to drag it to the side and make it larger as much as I need. So I'll have to actually work a few times to get a right size and placement of this circle. And then I can pick an eraser and get rid of the other one. I feel I'm going to have to move this logo as well, because on the other view it looked way too towards the side. So I'm going to pick it and place it towards the center. And now that the placement looks right, I'm going to continue working on this logo. So you can see the edge is kind of blurred because I was dragging this circle. So I'm going to take a scissors and kind of, you know, it makes a copy right on top of this circle because I'm not moving it. And I'm just repeating it multiple times. I'm getting a crisp edge on this circle because when you create a copy on top of the original drawing, it makes the edge more crispy. So how do I continue working on this circle? Obviously I need that red part as well. So let's pick our red color, and I'm going to create another circle in the middle of this one, change the size. What I need to figure out is how big it's going to be. I'm creating it on a separate layer, just be sure so that the white circle doesn't get affected. And then I'm repeating the same process with the scissor tool, creating multiple copies on top of each other. You can see the edge is gonna get really crisp. And now I'm going to have to create the white circle in the middle of this one, but I'm gonna create it using eraser this time. But I just have to figure out the exact size of eraser, which will give me the result that I want. This one looks good, and then I have to erase also the top part of this red area to create the similar shape. I think this looks pretty good. And I'm gonna take a pen because there's this zigzag line to the side of this red shape, and I'm going to just use it by creating small dots on the sides. I want to create a bit of a shadow to the bottom just to make it a little more interesting visually and not so flat. So I'm using a flat marker just to do that. And I'm going to proceed with the letters on a separate layer. Just in case if something goes wrong, I can always delete this layer and start all over again. I'm going to pick also that dark gray color to finish the rest of the design, and the one in the middle I will just indicate somewhat the shape of the football ball and the top writings as well. So the top part has a lot of Arabic writings, but I'm going to first create this gray circular line, and I'm just going to use a freehand approach to it because I feel that it won't be too difficult. This might be easier if you have the opportunity to move your iPad to rotate it to get a easy result, but for the sake of recording this tutorial, I am going to just work my way around it without moving the iPad. I'm not quite sure how can I repeat these writings. I can just create an impression of some letters, but I see that doesn't look too good. Okay, I guess I'm going to undo these, and if I was a designer, I would probably just indicate the area where the writings are going to be placed. So I'm going to do that as a designer, just in a different approach, and just cross-hatch this area so that says here goes the writing. I guess that's good. And there's another small label on the side of the shirt. I'm going to keep using the pen to just create the same. It seems like that's it. The final illustration is there. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for watching it. And please like this video and subscribe to this channel.